All right, thanks, Matt. Yes, indeed, we're ready to go for round 7, and we have got four-color control in the hands of Zach Allen, a very capable pilot, and Connor Sloan playing Green Tron. Well, welcome to the stream.
And welcome to my explanation of why you should follow and make yourself a threat. Uh, Very quick explanation is just that if you are watching the stream and you're somebody who is taking in all of the fantabulous ins and outs, wrongdoings, and good doings of the players on the stream, you will make yourself a threat at the next tournament that you go to. There's my
Excellent
explanation.
justification. I am sure you thought of that well after you initially made the statement, but that's how all good conversations go. All right, so we're on the board here. We have a turn 1 relic from the Tron deck, not indicative of a 7-card keep, and indeed, it does not look like there are many cards in Connor Sloan's hand.
Yeah, this seems like it is probably a pretty deep mulligan, and
Yeah, it looks like a
it
4.
a 5, 4, you're right, because we
Yeah.
would have drawn a card. Okay, yeah, a little bit rough of a situation to be in. And deciding to just dedicate the relic early, unfortunately, it gets prismatically ended, so we're not even gonna have a chance to draw off of it, but luckily for Connor, we do have our second Tron piece, so I don't know, sometimes the top of your deck gets really, nice to you when you're playing Tron, and you'll be able to just draw out of it.
Yeah, but see, you know what's unfair about playing Tron, which both of us are familiar with? You draw what you want exactly as often as everyone else does.
That's
But
true.
you get a lot more grief for drawing like the third Tron land than other people do for drawing, the island that they wanted. It's just
That's
as
true.
likely.
That's true. You tell him, Joe.
That's right. All right. So Connor Sloan, short in Urza's mind here. Zach Allen hoping it doesn't come up too soon. Now, something that I want to point out about Connor Sloan's Tron deck is there are a pair of Urza's Saga hanging out in this list, which is not something that we see every day. So I guess, are we...
Huh.
It's an Urza land, so it had to go in the deck? Is that just
I was
what
gonna
happened?
say, and is also playing a copy of Urza's Factory. So yeah, it's just playing every Urza's land.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that. You are correct. Wow.
We're just really, really big fan of Urza lands.
5 Urza lands. That's incredible. And we're seeing here a
Ooh.
Boseiju that picks off the tower. So that is going to put Connor even further away.
Okay, I have to tell you a little story. So, last weekend, Sam and I went to visit Max. And Max was like, "Can we play Magic?" And we were like, "Okay." The same 2 decks we brought are Tron and 4-color Creativity.
Okay.
And they're playing some sideboard games. And Sam goes, "Boseiju your Tron land, Wrenn and Six it back." And Max, I've never seen Max act more shocked in his life. And I was like, "You've never seen somebody do that before?" And he was like, "No." All of a sudden, everyone stopping playing Tron makes so much more sense.
Max Khan, former Nerd Rage judge coordinator, now employee of the San Francisco 49ers, clearly straying away from the Magic lifestyle, doesn't even know basic interactions. Be sure to, if you run into Max in your outside life, make sure to let him know that we're unimpressed.
No, we're very impressed. And we had to teach him
Right.
about the very dark interactions that be, as an Ancient Stirrings is going to be the next play for Connor. Get ourselves a Tron land that would have given us Tron, unfortunately,
Mhm.
if we hadn't had our other Tron land, Boseiju.
Yeah, so there's still hope here, perhaps, for Connor, as obviously the Haymakers and Tron do a lot of work, but Zach Allen establishing mana here, probably feeling fairly comfortable. A deck with, counter spells, Archmage's Charms, Planeswalkers, removal spells. So some of the cards are going to be fairly dead. But counters are good against most of the Tron deck. It's only the Ulamogs that really just slice through that. And,
Mhm.
well, Connor is not there yet.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We were kind of talking about how we've seen some people start to go back to copies of Worldbreaker or something like Cityscape Leveler. Cityscape Leveler doesn't take out lands, but it does have a cast trigger. So just trying to see how you're evaluating your threats or changing things up in a plus or minus kind of way. And so far, it seems like this is the matchup where I would want something like a World Breaker, but it also is Modern is such an open format that it's hard to really dedicate a ton of slots to
Well,
something that you can't worry about
boy,
that much.
you know what else you might want to have in addition to World Breaker? You might want to have Ulamog, but we don't have those either.
That's true.
So no cast triggers present whatsoever. There is a Karn here that resolves facing down the Teferi. So that's something. But yeah, traditionally Tron a little ahead of control, but that is in part due to the cast triggers from the Big Eldrazi. And if we're not playing any of those, there are Urza Sagas, which also get around counter magic pretty effectively. But not quite the same as the Stonebrain is wished up, and then Teferi tucks Karn Great Creator away.
Oh, okay.
And is
that is Tron.
That is Tron. Okay, well, that changes things dramatically as far as what Connor's able to do in a turn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now we've got some decisions to make. There's an Ugin the Spirit Dragon in hand, but that seems like it could potentially just be a little bit too clunky on this turn. But we're going to go with something just as big, trying to just create some waves here. And speaking of waves, Subtlety is going to not allow for Karn to come down. So we are going to put that Karn back on top of our library, keep our other Karn lower, and dismember the Subtlety so that we don't have to worry about our life total taking any hits.
Okay.
You seemed like upset by that play. What's up, Joe?
No, I don't have any problem with the play. Keeping the board clear, I mean, protecting the future Planeswalkers is fine. This is, not letting. I mean, Connor didn't have any choice in the matter. But Zach Allen starting to draw cards from Teferi is, I mean, when you untap with Teferi, it's like untapping with Jace. It's the things get worse quickly.
Yeah, that is certainly how I feel about it as well. As we're gonna draw a card from that Teferi, Omnath in hand. It looks like Zach separating some lands to cast that big giant multi-fisted green ooze onto the battlefield.
Oh boy, I think Zach Allen was in trouble, and now I don't. If he finds Wrenn and Six, and he's got the Boseiju, which is discounted by Omnath, even though he wouldn't even need it to be necessarily.
Do we have a fetch land? Of course we do. Why wouldn't we?
And well, this is bad. I mean, I guess it's good for Connor that this Karn's going to get shuffled off the top of the deck since he no longer can cast it anyway. However, Zach Allen, if by waiting until the draw step here would force Connor to redraw that, which is a blank, and then he's gonna fire it off right now, which I mean that's fair. Actually, I take it back. He doesn't have a choice because his floating mana, he doesn't have untapped land.
Yeah.
Well, no, he does once he untaps from Teferi. Either way, this is fine. It's looking good. Wipes out the Tron, and unless Connor can just redraw a piece here.
Redraw a piece and then fade a counterspell to cast Ugin. Yeah. Unfortunately, none of those look to be the missing Tron land that we would need to be able to do that. And instead, it's an Urza Saga. I think the door is kind of slammed shut on that last turn that Zach Allen had.
Mm-hmm. So here's the Stonebrain. So I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I would show off the Urza Saga since it's not a card that's ubiquitous in Tron decks. However, getting to look at your opponent's deck may be worth that because the Stonebrain resolving here. I mean, sure, you gave away you had Stonebrain, but you get to see everything they've got. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little hard to say that same kind of thought process pre-sideboard games. Or at least it like hurts a little bit more as Stonebrain's going to be able to take out Boseiju, and then we don't have to worry about Wrenn and Six Boseiju wreaking havoc on every single one of our lands, though I am a little concerned that it might be too little too late as usually anytime Boseiju takes out 2 of your lands, that's enough for you to be a little bit too far behind as the Tron player.
Yeah, and it's not like Zach Allen is just Boseijuing and then passing. There are all kinds of things going on inside the board. Multiple planeswalkers. Yeah, granted, he has a lot of land in hand. Zach Allen's hand isn't great, but his board is very good.
Mhm.
And that's probably more than Connor Sloan's. What are we even hoping for here? I guess drawing a Tron. I mean, in 2 turns,
Yeah.
we can tutor up Expedition Map and then complete Tron. That feels like
Yeah.
forever away.
I think that we're still just hoping to draw a Tron land off the top of our library, cast Ugin -5.
Yeah. And I suppose that's actually live right now to
Mhm.
put Connor back in the game. As impossible as that seems. No, I take that back. Zach
Yeah,
Allen's
the
got
Archmage's charm in hand said otherwise.
Yeah.
But to Connor, that is a potential out in this game. Like, even if we drew another Ancient Stirrings, it, like, feels like that is a way to try and find that. Scrying would do it as well, but Zach Allen just saying, "I'm deploying everything to the board. These elementals are gonna be pumped by Kaheera. I'm trying to get this done this turn."
Yeah, and, well, okay, a Chub Block attempted. Archmage Charm will grab the construct, and Zach Allen pick up game 1. So, Connor Sloan losing on a multi 4, nothing to be ashamed about. Even though Tron does mulligan more than the average deck, you have to be realistic, and yeah, losing on 4 cards. What needs to concentrate on right now is winning game 2 on the play.
Mhm.
So let's take a look at the sideboards and see what Connor is going to gain and what he has to face down.
Ooh, all right. So it's always, I mean, Joe and I have talked about it a lot, and us both being Tron players ourselves, always interested to look at what other people are kind of get into their minds, look at what their sideboards are, and see kind of where their thought process is going. And seeing just everything kind of being dedicated towards the Karn wish board, save for 2 Veil of Summer, 3 Boseiju, is kind of it's interesting to see. But going hard on the Boseijus, considering that we
Yeah.
have 1 main board, 3 in the sideboard.
No, it's a lot of Boseiju. Yeah, Veil of Summers definitely could prove effective here, and yeah, that looks like about it for the boarding. And there's cards to cut. Working Whale is not an all-star here. And you know what? Connor just looked at Zach Allen's entire deck. Why don't we do the same? And then we can make some guesses on what's going to happen. So we see here, Zach Allen is a Kaheera deck, so there's no Ragavan, things like that. So we have Warping Whale, no creatures to kill, not many sorceries to counter, probably an easy cut.
Yeah, and this is interesting because I believe last month Zach Allen actually was just playing blue-white control, so has made the swap to 4-color control, and thus kind of playing a little bit of a different game plan, but still widely the same. And I would say that I feel like I see mostly Zach Allen playing control decks, so still staying in the same vein of that strength, but trying to diversify just a little bit. And a lot of this sideboard maybe not going to be exactly what you would want, but there's a few things that are going to be a little bit helpful. Something like just even an extra Force of Negation to make sure that you're not going to be put in a situation where a possible out is drawing the Tron land to Ugin -5.
Sure. Yeah, and Boseiju Wrenn and Six recursion is really the primary interaction here for Zach Allen against the lands. There's not anything else. And, that's effective as we saw in game 1, but it doesn't allow a lot of leeway. Like you have to draw the Boseiju, or the Wrenn and Six isn't going to do anything by itself. And there is a Boseiju in Zach Allen's hand.
Yep, that's going to be a little bit scary. Card to the bottom for Connor, so 1 mulligan, but this start looks a little bit more reliable for typical Tron. So starting off with that tower, following it up with a chromatic sphere, likely ends up being something that would go to a Sylvan Scrying if it wasn't being prismatically ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is one of the reasons, one of the interactions why I felt like Tron fell down. Not just me. I mean, I think it's obvious to a lot of people that your chromatics or your expedition maps on turn 1, even going first, no longer being safe, Prismatic Ending being able to pick them off is a real blow towards the development of the deck. Because you rely on those functioning, and we see the map get picked off too.
The map got picked off even though we played a second copy of the same Urza's land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that
so
Trinisphere?
I was gonna vote for it being Oblivion Stone, but
Oh, that would make more sense. Okay. So admittedly, I'm very good with a lot of alternate arts.
you are
This one
is the one we'll have to remember.
Yeah, exactly. This is the one that you can all hold over my head for forever because I am admittedly not very good at the artifacts from Kaladesh.
All right. Passes are from Connor. That is the Urza's Factory in play. So I wonder if Zach Allen
It's also
double taked on that one. I would have.
And it's also worth noting that actually looking at Connor's sideboard and deck is not playing Trinisphere at all.
Okay. That's an unusual exclusion for the deck, as it does fairly useful in several matchups. But in, Stonebrain does some of the same things and breaking up some combo decks. And we see here, I mean, just these two prismatic endings. There is the potential argument that Connor could have, if the third land drop was already in hand, that you wait for turn 3 and play map and break it so you can break it right away and not lose it to prismatic ending. Now, if the third land's not there, then sure, maybe you don't do that. Even Ancient Stirrings will not be allowed to resolve.
I think, taking a look at Zach Allen's hand, it's like mono counter spells.
Well, mono counter spells is pretty good against an Ulamogulus Tron deck. Although, I mean, Connor, obviously, it's slightly, it's not built the way that Becky, that you and I would have built it, but Connor is 5-1, so that's nothing to dismiss here. Obviously, it's working.
Yeah. No, and it's like, it just kind of speaks to the base power of the idea of Tron, which is ramp a lot, play a big spell. And like Connor's deck is playing something like Urza's Saga that's going to kind of help out and make a lot of those other artifacts that get played along the way a lot less bad. And so I actually kind of like the idea of, if I don't kind of get to do my normal game plan, I have like a little bit of a backup plan that's not quite as bad as like ours, which is usually Thragtusk.
Sure. Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that Connor played a second Oblivion Stone and Zach Allen, which playing a second Oblivion Stone is not great in the first place. And then Zach Allen actually blew one of them up with a Wear Tear, which also seems rather unnecessary. But I mean, if you got the cards and you're going to do it and you want to spend them, you might as well.
Oh.
And then Boseiju takes out a Tri-Land here, actually giving Connor green mana, which he did not have before this.
Zach Allen maybe not worried about it, considering that Wrenn and Six is just going to get Boseiju back and is saying, you're never going to have the mana to do much of anything anyway, so...
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Here is a scrying. And Zach Allen may just be like, hey, listen, I'm just going to curious how many forests in your deck, so I'm going to blow up Tron lands until you run out of them.
I would like to demonstrate a loop. Not a real loop, but I'm going to do this every single turn.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't even say Tron lands. Maybe we should just say Urza lands, because maybe Zach Allen will kill the factory.
Honestly, at some point, yeah. We stay in this game long enough. I think actually at that point we ultimate this Teferi and we just start exiling, so then we don't even need the Boseiju.
Yeah. Well, maybe by the time this Teferi gets around to ultimate, maybe there's just going to be forest left for Connor. That's it.
Only 3 in the deck, so we're going to start running out pretty quickly here.
Yeah. Zach Allen just merrily upping the planeswalkers, seeing the ultimates on the horizon, seeing Connor being flooded with forests despite having actually drawn none in the game.
Go ahead.
Takes out the Oblivion Stone. All right. That does preserve the planeswalkers.
Sure. And then once again continues to just be able to say, merrily I'll get back this Boseiju with Wrenn and Six.
Right. With just no fear. There's no reason to have any fear with only one I can't correct myself. Not one Urza land in play, but one of the the Tron-ish traditional lands in play. So there's no threat to Connor doing anything crazy on the next turn. And here is 4 mana and a Karn Great Creator meeting a Subtlety. So now Zach Allen has a clock and his newest Planeswalkers and his recurring Boseiju.
Which is kind of nice. Like, if this had been a Wurmcoil engine that like actually got to stick, that would potentially be a little bit scary. But yeah, saying that there's just so many counter spells in Zach Allen's hand, the options are running thin for Connor, certainly.
Yeah. And we just saw the Boseiju. Didn't even leave the graveyard. Zach Allen's just like, I'm rolling up Wrenn and Six. I'm going to tap 2 land, throw your power plant in the graveyard. And Connor's like, okay. Probably not going to recover this one.
Yep. Continuing to just tick these planeswalkers up, and Connor slowly losing a way to come back into this, but going to go ahead and continue to try to
Hey, there we go.
Something together.
Veil of Summer to protect Karn, Great Creator. Eat it, Zach Allen. This is working. Zach Allen will probably be okay. But, Karn Great Creator is in play here for Connor Sloan. So yeah, he's not leaving the future match area without actually making some inroads into at least accomplishing, some good things here. Next turn, Zach Allen able to ultimate Teferi hero. However, the graveyard is now gone. So yeah, Wrenn and Six, no more Boseijus for you. You'll have to find some other way to destroy my land. Zach Allen's like, okay.
I will. And here it is. Teferi emblem, for those of you unfamiliar. It says whenever you draw a card, you exile a permanent.
Yeah.
And maybe it says opponent control. I don't know. I usually scoop up my cards when that comes into play, and it looks like Connor of the same mindset. Unfortunately, only able to assemble Tron once across those 2 games and not able to take down the 4-color menace that is still in Modern from Zach Allen.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that just didn't go well for Connor. And Zach Allen, played well, had an end game in sight. Just rolled up those planeswalkers patiently, picked off a few lands, countered a few spells, and got what he wanted, and is looking very strong. I mean, 6-1, already very high on the leaderboard. I'm told we have an interview upcoming, so let's go ahead and pop the leaderboard up so we can see precisely where. I assume Zach Allen is who we're going to be speaking to. So let's go ahead and look at the leaderboard and identify his position there. You can see with a sizable lead for an overall invite, and there are 4 invites that are going to go out. So as it currently stands, Adam Wassermoses, Zoe Reederman, Will Kruger, and Raja Suleiman, or one of the other players behind them, would all have to pass Zach Allen. That seems like a stretch. Alternatively, if we look at the Season 3 leaderboard, he is in second place here out of 2 potential invites. So we'd have to get passed by 1 person here, 4 people on the other list, and he's 6-1. It's looking pretty good.
It is looking pretty good there for Zach Allen across multiple leaderboards, and he is sitting down to have a little bit of a chat with us about deck choices, as well as some other things that we might love to hear about, plans that are brewing for the championship that is potentially on the horizon here for Zach Allen.
All right. Well, let's bring him in. Zach Allen, well, things are looking good for you so far.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pretty good event so far.
Yeah. Okay. So you took down our beloved Tron deck there. So when you see that's the matchup, are you focused on like, is Boseiju Wrenn and Six kind of the attack plan you're going for, or are there kind of, that's just how it ended up this time?
So there are 2 plans you want with my deck against Tron. Firstly, Prismatic Ending on 1 is way more damaging for Tron in a lot of hands than people would think. So you can't keep a hand that doesn't have Boseiju or Prismatic Ending, basically. And the Prismatic Ending has to be on 1. You can't be like drawing to it.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, the entire game plan is just stall, stay alive until you can assemble Boseiju Wrenn and Six, and that combo beats Tron very well.
Sure. All right, so you're looking pretty well positioned to get a spot in the championship.
Yeah, it's been a really good season for me. I have had a lot of, I guess, tough events, I would say, where I lost a lot of win-ins, but then I also kind of like, those were frustrating, but then I kind of made up for it by getting really lucky in the events where I did actually do good. I went far in the playoff bracket, so I got extra points, and I think that's what's carrying me now.
Okay, so you played in one Star City Championship, correct?
I did, yeah, just one.
Okay, so that was a few years ago. Is there anything you think that you learned from that experience? Because this is not dissimilar.
No, it's not.
So is there anything you learned from preparing for that event that you might take into account for preparing for this time around?
Small field events are very different than large events. Deck like tier rankings don't exist in them, in my opinion. It is just your matchups. There are only 16 people there, 15 other decks, right? Maybe it's bigger, whatever, but very small field. So like you could be playing a tier 1 deck, I don't know, maybe is it Murktide in Modern, and have only bad matchups in the field. So knowing like what type of decks people are likely to bring is very valuable. And outside of that, it's really just the playing and pressure situations. One of the things that was really stunning to me about the last Star City Games Championship that I played in was just how physically exhausted I was at the end of every day. And like, you know, like you don't think about getting that tired by just like thinking about Magic all day. Like I'm not physically doing anything most of the day, but it's really, really mentally draining. And I think just like doing things to prepare yourself for that drain is going to be really important for the event.
Do you have any plans in particular already thought up for that? And are you willing to kind of share those secrets with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, just staying hydrated, which like you hear it every single time someone's talking about Magic or like play a tournament, stay hydrated, right? But it is like, you know, people say it, but then you actually just have to do it. So I bought some like hydration tablet supplement things so that I could just pop them in a water, and it's like a Gatorade and you just stay hydrated. Other than that, like eating at regular like intervals where you would normally eat is important. It's usually hard to eat during a Magic tournament. So I know it sounds kind of lame, but like preparing a bag of snacks that you put in your bag is like way more important for the event than it sounds like, I think.
All right. So we've got one more round today. So, okay, I'll ask you a question that this is going to apply to anybody who is, you know, whether you're trying to win RCQ or, a pro tour. So we're heading into the last round of the Swiss, and you have the option, if you can draw safely into, let's just hypothetically say 6th place. Or you can potentially play the last round to try and get a high seed. Are you drawing every time? Are you playing in some scenarios?
It's actually been weird for me this year. I normally would be inclined to draw, just take my top 8, go. But 3 different times this year, I've been in this spot and have chosen to play. Although every time I did that was with a different deck. And I think it really depends on the format. Like I did it with Blue-Red Murktide in a situation because that deck is just so much better on the play than it is on the draw. And I've done it in Pioneer, but yeah, for the most part, if you are like risking falling out of top 8 to try and like gain a little bit extra in top 8, it's just not worth it. Like you'd rather just lock up the top 8 slot, get to play your match, and you know, even if you're on the draw, you don't lose. Like it's not like you can totally win that game. So don't cost yourself a top 8. Take the safe entrance into the final knockout rounds and go from there.
Sure. All right, Zach Allen, thanks for your thoughts and good luck the rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I think it's very likely that we'll see you in January.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay, so the words of Zach Allen, maybe the MVP this year for No Rage Gaming, almost certainly a member of the championship in January. So we do have a backup match this round, so we're going to go ahead and get that rolling now. So let's bring it out. Yeah, another match playing for top 8 potentially. Let's get it started.
All right. Azorius Hammer versus 5 color elementals. Oh, okay. This is kind of interesting. I feel like we did see like a lot of elementals deck lists. When I say like a while back, I mean like a year ago, so not
No, you're
really
right.
like a while back, but
Yeah.
it was like kind of really popular, and it was a really popular like aggressive deck for a little while. But it is kind of hard to have like, I mean, 5 color zoo has kind of struggled with this for a long time as well. It is really difficult to have an aggressive deck when most of your lands are basically tap lands.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. No, you're right though. And we had Rob Hayes that won 2 NRG modern events in a row with elementals back approximately a year ago. And then, yeah, I haven't seen much of it. So we are seeing now a time shifted match, a little bit accelerated here. And Leyline Binding takes out Sigarda's Aid. Kind of a key card towards enabling fast starts for Dominic Palercio and the Hammer deck. I actually didn't realize that Sigarda's Aid was on the board at first. And I just saw the Ornithopter. I was like, there's no way this Leyline Binding is hitting an Ornithopter, right? But in fact, it was not.
No, the Ornithopter, far too scary. Must get rid of it as Voice of Resurgence, a card that I feel like I haven't seen in a long time. And even the decks that we were seeing that were elemental themed, that were played a year ago, weren't really playing Voice of Resurgence.
Right. Yeah. But we see it here. It would have been, would have been a decent card to have against Zach Allen last round. Here against the Hammer deck, I guess you can chump block twice. That's something.
Yeah, certainly not the worst. And if you're looking for something that is going to be holding down the fort, okay. This one I'm not super familiar with. I know that it's a shapeshifter, something Mariner.
It is Unsettled Mariner. Good job.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, of all the things to know about the card, the creature type, Becky Bell, you nailed that one. Unsettled Mariner. Yep. Is technically an elemental along with everything else.
I also have only seen it in the humans deck, so I'm going to be honest, it was not even on my radar to be a card that would be played by Derek Davis.
But it is in here, and it taxing effect to target Derek Davis's stuff, which also Dominic isn't going to care too much about. But he is going to care about is equipping the Colossus Hammer Shadow Spear combo that he's got in play now. And, well, Pure Steel Paladin, that's going to do that. And, all right, this is at the least going to be a sizable life swing.
Yep, this will potentially be a little bit spooky, as Dominic says, I would like to attach here and here. And Derek says, okay, and add some more artifacts to the board, try to hit for as much as possible. And Derek says, all right, how much is it going to be?
It's a lot. There's even a Nexus that can animate as well. So if there's no Solitude, which there probably isn't, is it would have hit Pure Steel, at least in response to one equip maybe. And there's a jump block from Voice of Resurgence to save 2 life.
Yeah, unfortunately, the chump block hurts a lot more when a Shadow Spear gives trample as well. But I guess we'll take what we can get.
Do we even call it a chump block? And a chump block in my mind is usually it absorbs all the damage. So yeah, maybe I erred in even referring to it as that. That was just a speed
I was
bump.
gonna say, yeah, but I feel like chump block fits better with I guess I just have to save some life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, normally you're playing it, you get attacked by, I don't know how much power that was, something like 15. Chump blocking, you absorb 2, you take 13. Oh, that's a bad deal. Anyway, that game's over with. Dominic Palercio up game 1. We're gonna look at the deck list real quick and then move right into the remaining games.
Whoa, okay. This is okay. So now that we're seeing the Harbinger as well, like this is really throwing back to some old elementals deck lists. And on top of that, like most people have kind of just done Risen Reef because they were like, well, at least this gets me like a ton of value. And then we were kind of seeing Flamekin Harbingers like a 1 or a 2 of, but a full 4 of here. So going hard on that creature and just trying to be, I guess it seems like as aggressive as possible. And then on top of that, just the elemental incarnations are just very good. And so playing the suite of those. interesting to see Orvar, the
Right.
all form.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
That's a really cool card to see here. I can't imagine that it's going to be something that we see in this matchup.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Probably just
But-
going to go for the Engineered Explosives and for Foundation Breaker.
Yeah, exactly. Eloquently put. All right, let's go look at Dominic Clericchio's deck real quick. Hammer deck, couple Spell Pierce, the main deck, couple Blacksmith Skill, and the one of Gingerroot that seems to be in every single list. That card, Gingerroot, must be, I don't even know what commonality it is. It's probably a common, right?
It's a common.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I
All right.
love it. I think it's such a cool card.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. All right, so Spell Pierce, no good. Mana Leak, maybe. Still not exciting.
Yeah, March of
But,
Otherworldly Light, again.
Lavinia?
This is hard.
Stops free cast.
Sure.
Incarnations. So there's some work you could do there. Yeah, it's not
skill probably worth something.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and roll game number 2. See
right.
if Derek Davis can battle back from being down a game here.
It looks like Dominic kept a hand pretty readily. And Derek saying, Misty, go. 5 colors means that I've got to be here just playing lands for quite some time. Esper Sentinel, maybe not as phenomenal against this deck that is playing so many creatures as it would normally be.
Right. No, it's almost unlikely to do much at all, is it? I mean, there's what, Leyline Binding and Ephemerate, and that'd be it. Also, 4 Ephemerates in this deck. I feel like that's something that we don't see in numbers the way we did a year ago.
Yeah, I feel like everyone started with Ephemerate, and then everyone was like, oh, cards like Feign Death kind of do the same thing.
Sure.
And then now we have Recto Scam.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it's still Pitchcast Incarnations. Recto Scam is really just 2 color elementals, right? They named the deck wrong.
Yeah. It's true. I actually quite like the name Recto Scam. I think that is like a going back to like naming decks kind of more quote unquote fun things. Getting scammed by Recto Scam is not fun, so that's why I put it in quotes.
All right, 2 Esper Sentinels. Well, so now if Derek Davis wants to go for an Ephemerate beating, he'll just have to pay 2 mana instead of 1 to still let Dominic gain no advantage. We'll see. As Dominic is filling with one of his sleeves, he seems unsatisfied with. Looks like a Giver of Runes, but the priority is to get Esper Sentinels on the board. What is Derek going to find to do here?
Yeah, this is awkward. I believe that we have all colors, so we could do something like Leyline Binding, but instead the game plan is going to be Solitude, Ephemerate. So a very kind of old game plan compared to what people have started to do now, but every once in a while you'll still see somebody rock the old school Solitude, Ephemerate, keep my Solitude in play because of that ability.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot more with, I mean, Fury makes a better attacker in this matchup. In fact, we used to see it happen on turn 1. Even with nothing to kill, Rob Hayes would do that basically every single game and get away with it a good amount of time. So here Solitude comes in, picks off 2, I mean, pretty worthless creatures. I mean, it's something, obviously, and you're generating an attacker that just swings 6 points of life when it connects with the other player. But those 2 Esper Sentinels weren't doing a lot. Now, Omnath is capable of doing a lot. And Dominic, I guess, down 2 Esper Sentinels, this Nettle Cyst is a lot less impressive than it would be otherwise.
Yeah, very true. Ooh, okay. And then on top of our fetch shock of the Sacred Foundry, the extra 4 mana that we get from Omnath allows for us to cast this Fury, attack for even more. And actually getting a lot of life is pretty big against the deck that is really trying to punish you for playing fetch lands in this Hammer deck.
Yeah, no, we are definitely this is very different from the last game.
Absolutely. And
here's a Colossus Hammer, and yeah, what Nexus maybe can one shot, but other than that, Derek Davis is getting enough life that even 2 hammers on a creature is unlikely to do enough to kill Derek after another land drop.
Yeah, and if Nexus is going to be the game plan, we really are going to have a Sicardo's Aid, which Dominic could be holding on to try and just make sure that like the shields are down as much as possible. But this EE is going to really change that here as Flamekin Harbinger comes into play, and we're going to be able to search for an elemental.
Yeah, this is really showing your opponent up. Like, listen, all right, I'm going to play explosives that kills all 1-drops. Then I'm going to play my 1-drop because I just don't care. And Solitude is going to move to the top of the deck for Derek Davis. Looking good on every measurable angle. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and go to game 3.
An intense game number 2, and really getting to see the strength of both of those decks there, and probably not the start that Dominic Palercio would have wanted either. I can understand against like a lot of the other 4-color like control elemental decks, still considering Esper Sentinel to be something that's going to just draw you so many cards, and that could have been why Dominic kept that hand just off the strength of something like that. But that didn't end up exactly coming through there, and in the end, it was something to be easily dismantled by this 5-color elemental tribal deck.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it brought the tools that time. Ephemerate on Solitude, followed by Fury, just kind of crushed the entire board.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Those are 2 cards that is usually pretty scary for something like that hammer deck. If it doesn't have a hammer in play, that it is free to move around to kind of try to keep things safe, then that is certainly going to be a difficult way for them to try to push through. So let's see who wins this one. I'm intrigued after those first 2 games.
All right, I definitely, if I had to bet, I would bet on elementals. I like the interactions here. All right, let's see what happens. If you have opinions in chat, let us hear them.
If you have opinions, you should hit the follow button. And I know that is every single one of you.
That's true. Sicardo's Aid didn't play for Dominic Palercio. So good start. There's a Saga. Okay. I don't have a good eye on the players' hands. They look substantial enough that we probably no one mulled to death this game. All right, a couple votes agreeing with me. Elementals is favored. Excellent. I'm not going to look at any more. As far as I'm concerned, 100% of the people agreed with me.
Joe validated. Take it. All right, I guess I have to start rooting for Dominic then. I gotta keep the field varied.
Yeah, I mean, it's not against the rules to agree with me either. You know, you could do that.
That's fair enough. As Cavern of Souls is going to make Flamekin Harbinger uncounterable and allow for us to get a Foundation Breaker for Derek Davis.
Nice. Okay, that will allow disenchant effect on. Well, it'll be interesting to see whether Derek chooses the Sicardo's Aid or the Urza Saga as actually a target as well, or maybe we'll see an Ephemerate and hit both.
That would be intense. As Stoneforge Mystic going to come down. We have 1 mana, so this could be a place where we just go for a Colossus Hammer and try to suit up ASAP.
Yeah, maybe so. In the face of the, I'm not. Yeah, I guess doing it into the Foundation Breaker isn't even that bad because it already has a ton of targets.
Oh, on Foundation Breaker, not even going to be the call here. Going to go for Risen Reef.
All right, or Risen Reef is a great way for these incarnations to just generate a ton of card advantage going along.
Oh, yeah.
Or even just to break even on the pitch cast and elementals. That's good as it is. So Hallowed Fountain revealed there and goes into play. So that actually enables Derek to have 5 mana next turn, which is great for hard casting Solitude or Fury if he doesn't pitch cast them before then.
And it looks like before Urza Saga goes away, we're not going to be making a creature. We're simply going to be using it to activate Stoneforge Mystic and bring out Cauldron Complete.
All right, well, it's a good place to be. There's a hammer, and we know there's another hammer in hand. Well, Derek Davis is going to need some interaction here. He might need a Solitude to avoid dying.
I have to imagine that we make the play of this Risen Reef on the assumption that we have something like a Fury or a Solitude, and that we're going to get that extra value from playing that for a pitch cast this turn. That would be my guess.
Let's see. Okay. Block attempted. This is what, 15 coming across. So a block allows a shockland to still to function. Here's a hammer. Well, if Derek has nothing, it's over, but he doesn't have nothing. He's got a Solitude. And, well, Dominic's going to gain a lot of life. Derek's going to draw a card off, or I guess, yeah, draw a card off Shivan Reef. Risen Reef.
Creature decks like this they warm my heart.
I mean, it is...
Maybe it's just Risen Reef. I don't know.
It's a creature deck, sure, but, I mean, there's still a lot of nice stuff going on here. These elemental, these pitch incarnation elementals.
True. They don't really feel like
those
creatures
are
most of the time,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Derek just played Swords of Plowshares without spending any mana.
That's true. All right, and Risen Reef number 2 gonna come in, and Foundation Breaker is now gonna make an appearance.
Nice. Picks off Saga. Hits twice more on the Reef. Cigar's Aid does stay in play, and Risen Reef's like, okay, we're getting in there.
Whoa, okay, that's a feisty little Risen Reef.
Can't stomach Dominic being at more than 30 life. We'll take a chunk out of it.
It's a 31. Oh my goodness. Wow. All right. What a game we have on our hands. This is a game 3.
Okay, there's a Pure Steel Paladin. That's
spooky.
That's dangerous. That's a lethal attack if uncontested here.
Yeah, and we have to imagine that the card that we were just moving to the front, is a removal spell to make sure that is not going to be the case. And sure enough, Derek Davis has another copy of Solitude here.
So how's the timing going to work here? This is
okay.
Pure Steel goes down. So I assume something's getting equipped here. Yep, there we go. Caldra on Stoneforge. All right, so that's now very difficult to deal with. However, it's not so bad. 6 damage a turn.
Very true. EE for 1 certainly would put a stop to these Colossus Hammers and the Aid. Oh my gosh, do we have another copy of Solitude?
Oh, the third. And 2 spell piercing and Dominic Polaritio. Okay, well.
Wow.
Derek Davis is going to pick up this match. And Dominic Polaritio, whether that was sideboarded incorrectly or just unfortunate in drawing the only 2 spell piercing in the deck.
No, I really feel like looking at the sideboards from these 2 decks that Dominic just had a feeling that it was a little bit closer to the more control strategies that we see of a lot of these decks with the elementals, and then just maybe didn't make some adaptations along the way.
Perhaps, yeah. And either way, Derek Davis will pick that one up, advance to 6-1. Becky, if something just occurred to you, we're going to take a break. As long as you can survive being attacked by 24 Pikachu in the next 5 minutes, we'll be back and hear it in the near future. This is New Rage Gaming. We'll be back for round 8 momentarily.